Hi guys, this video is a little different than one that I had anticipated sending to you guys. The one I'd normally shown in class, showing the history of the rifle and the development of the rifle, was unfortunately copywritten by A&E, and so I couldn't upload it to YouTube for you guys to see. So I'm going to do it by hand. So you guys are going to get a brief history on the development of firearms, rifles, and cartridges. Okay, so I'm going to start in the beginning, or not exactly the beginning, but pretty close to it. This is a black powder muzzle loading type firearm. Okay, this is a handgun, and this is several steps into the evolution of a muzzle loading type firearm. And by muzzle loading, what we mean is, this one has a plastic plug in it so you can tell that the thing's been checked and verified unloaded. But what you would do with this is you would dump gunpowder down the barrel. The barrel's just a tube. Initially, these things it was really just like a tube, just a smooth inside tube. You would dump gunpowder down inside of it. Then you would dump a patch, which is just a piece of cloth, and you would take a ball, a lead ball, or rock, or iron ball, or even multiple balls, or shot, gravel, and just about anything they'd put down there, and then you would smash it down in the barrel with a rod. Okay, you do that, you push it down in the barrel, and then they had various types of ignition sources on them, and depending upon what part of the progression you are, they would have flint locks, they would have all kinds of different sparking devices that would cause the thing to fire. This is one of the later developed sparking devices that they had for the muzzle loaders, and this one you would put a cap, they called it a cap, right here, and when you pulled the trigger, that hammer would smash the cap, and that would ignite the gunpowder charge, and that would cause the firearm to fire. And like I said, this is a handgun, but they had rifles and shotguns that worked on the same principle as this. Now, I mentioned rifles and shotguns. Shotguns would have been the smooth bore, and they had no rifling in them. Now, what's rifling? Rifling is a spiraled groove that they cut inside the barrel of the gun, and what that spiraled groove would do is when you would shoot the gun, as the bullet's passing through the barrel, it causes it to spin. All right, and that spin puts a gyroscopically stabilized force on the bullet, and it makes the bullet fly true. If you don't have that, if you just had a smooth bore and you're shooting a round ball out of a smooth bore firearm, the ball can spin in all kinds of different ways, and it may go up, down, sideways, whatever, so it doesn't fly true. But if you have a rifled barrel where it spins the bullet as it leaves, it causes it to fly more accurately. So that's the difference in a smooth bore and a rifle. Okay, and after they worked with guns like this for a while, they figured out that this is slow and it's cumbersome to do in various situations, particularly military type situations. So they wanted something that was a little more convenient, and they figured out if you put the black powder and the ball or the bullet in some type of a cartridge, it would make it more convenient to shoot. And those two things come along at about the same time. And what you had was, you would have a cartridge. Okay, this is a metallic cartridge, and you would have a cartridge that's got a brass container called the case. The projectile is the bullet. On the base of the case, you have a little circle thing in the middle there called a primer, and inside this case, it's full of gunpowder, or actually smokeless powder. So what would happen is much like the muzzle loading guns, when you pull the trigger on a gun, you've got this inside the gun, you pull the trigger on the gun, some part of the gun, a firing pin, will hit the primer, and the primer, which contains an impact sensitive chemical compound, will spark into the case. That'll set the gunpowder in here on fire. High pressure gases will push the bullet throughout the barrel. Okay, so that's how these things work. It's a very brief description of how these things work. There are two major priming types. Okay, what you've seen here is what's called a center fire, because the primer is in the center of the base of the cartridge. What you guys will be shooting in class though, are even smaller cartridges. Okay, this is a typical 9mm pistol cartridge. Okay, what you guys will be shooting in class is this little 22 rimfire. All right, and you'll notice on the base of it, there's no primer in the center of the base of the cartridge. What happens on this one is the firing pin has to pinch the rim. It pinches the rim, and that's what sets the primer off, sets the gunpowder off, pushes the bullet out of the gun. Okay, so that's kind of a brief on cartridges. I'll show you just a little bit different. Okay, so we know we have the little 22 rimfire. You got a 9mm pistol cartridge. We'll have a larger rifle cartridge, but this is still what's called an intermediate rifle cartridge. And we'll have a larger rifle cartridge. Okay, this is a 308. This is a 7.62 by 39. Okay, this is a Russian round, American 308 round. And just for demonstration, this is a shotgun shell, just to kind of show you size comparisons. Okay, shotgun shell has one added component to it. Okay, all of the metallic cartridges have the case, the bullet, the gunpowder's inside the case, and then in the base of the cartridge you'll have a primer. The shotgun has an added component. Okay, you've got what's called the hull, which takes the place of the case. You still have a primer in the base of the hull. Inside, you still have gunpowder, and you have a projectile or multiple projectiles, and you'll also have a thing called a wad, which is typically plastic, sometimes made out of fiber or cardboard, and that seals this between the gunpowder, which is down at the bottom, and your payload, which could be a single shot ball, or it could be a whole bunch of tiny little pellets. And so the same thing, primer gets hit by something, sets the gunpowder off, gunpowder burns, pushes the wad, pushing the shot out of typically a smooth bore shotgun. No rifling in it. It's not supposed to, there's no point in spinning a whole cloud of shot like that. So that tells you a little bit about the cartridges. Now, the guns themselves, you had the muzzle loader where you were shoving all that stuff down the front of the barrel. Well, these cartridges typically load from the back end of the barrel, not the front end of the barrel. They had all kinds of different developments along the way with that. One of the earlier developments would have been like this. Okay, this gun has got a standard barrel, but basically what they did is they chopped the back off, and you have what's called a falling block. Okay, this is a snap cap. All right, so you have a falling block here. You can see that block going up and down. So it goes down. You can put a round right into the back of the chamber, lift your block up, and now the gun's loaded and ready. You lift it, take it down, your cartridge comes out, put another one in, close it, you're ready to fire. A lot faster than shoving all that stuff down the barrel. So this is a falling block action. Another simple action type like that would be this is a very well used break action shotgun. Similar though, you push the lever on this and the gun breaks apart, and you can put a shotgun shell in it, and then you just hinge it back together. You know, either a hinge action or a break action shotgun, just like that, and that's how this gun is loaded. They advanced a little bit past that. They went into repeating type firearms, where you didn't just have to load one round at a time. They had a few different action types. One of the more simple ones is like this military type rifle, and you have, you can tell there's nothing in the magazine on this, but you just push the bolt handle forward and down, and it loads the gun, just like the bolt you would use to lock a door with. Bolt up, back. This is the kind of rifle you guys will be using in class. It's a bolt action, not this particular gun. You're going to be shooting those little 22 rounds in a bolt action rifle. So you'll put the cartridge in, bolt forward, down. When you're done, up, back, and the gun's empty. All right. This gun actually though would have a magazine, and you could keep working the bolt, and you could shoot multiple rounds like that. You guys in class are going to be loading each round individually. Okay. So this would be a bolt action rifle. Then another repeating type manual rifle is this. This is a lever action rifle. Okay, so you work the lever on this one, and it feeds the rounds out of a tubular magazine. Work the bolt, or yeah, work the lever, moves the bolt, and it would work rounds out of the magazine and through the barrel. Okay, it's a manual repeating rifle. After the manual guns, they started getting into semi-automatic rifles. There's all kinds of different actions. Okay, I've just touched on a few of them to show you the evolution. I'll show you some of the semi-autos. An early semi-auto action would be this one. Okay, it had a magazine inside here that held 8 rounds, and the gun functions on the gas of the cartridge being fired. Okay, so when you fire this, some of the gas is pushing the bullet out the barrel, but the gun bleeds off some of the gas and works the action by itself. So all you have to do is pull the trigger and the gun functions itself. You don't have to work a lever, you don't have to work a bolt, you don't have to manually work this gun at all. Every time you pull the trigger, bang, 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 that's all you have to do is pull the trigger. Okay, and it functions until it's out of ammo, then you have to reload it. All right, an early semi-auto firearm and a more modern semi-auto firearm would be this one. Okay, I'm sure you guys probably recognize this one. It was an AR-15. Really, the biggest advantage to this one is you have a detachable box magazine. Okay, meaning the magazine comes out. The one you saw from before this had a fixed box magazine. This one has a detachable box, so you can just switch magazines in it, but it still functions very similarly to the one you just saw. You load it up, pull the trigger, and the gun starts functioning. The cartridge throws the bullet out the barrel, some of the gas is bled off of that, and it causes the function of the rifle. Okay, so semi-auto rifle. Rifle meaning it's got a spiral inside the barrel. That spiral inside the barrel, those spiral grooves, spin your bullet and makes the gun highly accurate. Okay, a smooth bore muzzle loading firearm will only be accurate to about 50 yards. Something with rifled barrel, a long way. Easy 100 yards, depending upon the gun, you can shoot out to 1,000 yards with it. Some even more than that, but yeah, you can put some distance and accuracy on a gun just with those spirals in the barrel. Okay, so if you have any questions about anything that I've shown you up here today, feel free to send me an email and we'll talk about it. All right, stay safe, guys.